Good morning, everyone. This is Oliver from Neo, and this morning we are going to talk about the Genmaicha. Genmaicha, a specialty, or actually one of the only original flavored tea from Japan. When you're going for a fresh or for a general for Japanese green tea, it is often or normally it is never flavored. But the Genmaicha established itself as a flavored tea due to the fact that it is a tea which got quite early, pretty famous in the middle class of Japan in the early times when they did tea. So what you have to know is when tea really got famous in around the 16th or 17th century, like tea became very mainstream in more and more classes, and more people could also afford green tea as the production went up, especially in the 18th century. The leaf technique or the leaf rolling technique was brought from China to Japan, and that's how the green tea itself got very popular among all the social classes. But as the high quality green tea was always reserved or more reserved or could only be bought by the upper and the high class in Japan, the middle class invented a type of tea where they still could drink green tea, but maybe they didn't have enough money to really buy all in green tea. So what they started is to mix it with puffed rice, and this is how Genmaicha got its way into society as the first flavored green tea to have just a high amount of tea by mixing in some puffed rice into the tea. And this you can exactly see. So this a little bit orangey particles or orange parts. This is puffed rice, and you can see it looks a little bit like this, so a little bit orangey. I just take another one. A little bit of an orangey rice corn. Finally, this is really puffed rice, so it's a little bit roasted, slightly roasted, and it is mixed with the green tea. The green tea which is used for the Genmaicha is actually bancha. And bancha is a tea which is often a little bit the thicker leaves, it's a little bit the lower leaves, and often it's coming from the second or the third harvest. So it's a little bit less quality or high quality green tea than when you take a real Kabuse Sencha or even a Gyokuro, but it is still very good in quality, and especially from the family Watanabe from Yakushima, what they said, they will really use always the first harvest. And as you can see, the leaves are quite dark, so it is also a shaded tea. So they're using a shaded tea and they mix it with puffed rice. This is why this tea has a little bit more of a smoother and sweeter note to it. So I'll just make this morning and describe you a little bit the taste and how it is. So already with the nose, when we smell it, you have much more of the cereally taste of the rice. I have a little bit of fruitiness with this one here. Let me have a... So there's the cereally ricey, nearly popcorny, the flavor. This is slight apple note for me, but let's go into it. Let's have a look how the taste of this tea is. Good. So now we have this tea in for 1 minute, and we just gonna pour it into the glass. I often use for Genmaicha, as it is quite a strong tasting tea. I try to avoid the normal clay tea or Kyusu's teapots which I have, as they are very delicate also in absorbing the taste, and the Genmaicha is quite strong in taste. I used just, as you can see, a shiny Kyusu. So this one here is not non-glazed, so this is a glazed version. As the glazed version absorbs a little bit less the taste, that's what I do, because Genmaicha, as it is a little bit a simpler tea, it doesn't have that much complexity, it doesn't need the best teapot. And I can show you the leaves now, so you can see there at the bottom you got a little bit the rice. Here I can just open it up a bit that you can see more. So there's more rice there. So the rice sinks a little bit at the bottom. It also gets full with water, so it soaks up the water, and it really gets a little bit smooth. I can show you this here. This is now the rice corn. It also gets a little bit yellowish, so it's a little bit brighter now. And it really gets pretty soft, and I can just separate it, and you can see that here, in a softer way, it is on the small plate. Now, what you can see also from the liquid size is that the liquid is a little bit more yellowish, so not the typical greenish color which comes from typical sencha or fukamushi. It goes a little bit more in the yellowish note, and already in the nose I have this strong popcorny flavor. But there's also a nice sweet note with this one here. What's pretty amazing is in the beginning there's a very strong flavor, then it gets very smooth. So often when it is mixed with a bancha is a smooth tea and doesn't have too much different notes. There's not too much of this, maybe a little bit brothy. There's not too much of this strong umami sweetness, and this leaves the rice, the puffed rice, much more space to evolve and gives the tea a very special and completely different note. So often people, when I work at the market, they are looking specifically for Genmaicha because they want to have this taste, as it is really completely outside of the spectrum of the typical green tea, as you have the smooth bancha which is used, and then there's a lot of space for this flavor of this puffed rice, which is kind of a cereally, a little bit of a kind of a slight corn flavor, but much more in like this popcorny cereal flavor. It reminds me a little bit of tapas, like this cereals in the morning, like this small what is it, kind of fiber cushions which you eat with milk in the morning. It reminds me a little bit of this. It's actually a little bit like when you slightly in the direction of nearly also cornflakes, you might say. So really in this direction where you have this strong cereal flavor. It feels a little bit like a good breakfast tea as well. So it also fits well after having lunch or after having dinner, because bancha, which is the tea used in Genmaicha, is a tea which is often drank by the Japanese people after meals just to digest. So we have the second brewing, just some seconds in the water. Don't brew it too long for the second brewing. Just let me have a look here how the taste is. It still stays very prominent, but what you can feel is already that it's losing a little bit faster in its flavor. So this puffed rice is very strong in the first note, but then it goes a little bit away and it gets less strong, leaving a little bit more space also for the bancha flavor, which is a smooth, a little bit slight earthy flavor. So matching very well with the puffed rice. But still quite cereally also in the second brewing. So in the first brewing you really got this dominant cornflakesy cereally flavor, a slight corn note as well, a little bit of sweetness of the tea, and now this goes down, so it dims down pretty fast, so it goes kind of goes away faster, and finally then you got the Genmaicha flavor, which is leaving space a little bit more for the bancha flavor, which is a little bit more of an earthy tone, a little bit of sweetness. And now I also got a little bit more of this of the aftertones of the green tea, like a little bit the smooth, slight umami taste of this of the tea itself. So all in all, I could say first brewing definitely very different, and then moving slowly in the direction of a normal green tea, but still in the second brewing you have a strong cereal taste. Good. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one here. This was the Genmaicha tasting of Mr. Watanabe's Genmaicha. And never forget, don't drink pesticides, only organic, and then you're gonna be fine.